Hello, everyone. Welcome to Classic Sitcoms, Facts, and Trivia. Appreciate you being here. Before we get started, please subscribe. Please share these out on your Facebook page if you would. Let people know about it, and maybe we'll get more to join. And hopefully we'll get to that 1,000 subscriber mark before the end of the year. That's my goal. Today's video by request, since I did yesterday, was those MASH actors that are still living and still with us. Today we're doing a little tribute to those who passed away, the actors from MASH. Let's take a look. David Ogden Stiers, who brought class and style to MASH as Major Winchester, died in 2018. Everyone cheered when Major Frank Burns was replaced by Charles Emerson Winchester III, played by the extraordinarily talented actor David Ogden Stiers. Winchester was aptly known for his lavish lifestyle, his love of music, and when he was willing to show it, his humanity and understanding. Sadly, he died in 2018 from cancer, as noted by The Hollywood Reporter. Loretta Swit, who played Major Margaret Houlihan on the show, described him as his own person, but he loved and adored us as we did him. One of Stiers' closest on-set friends was Mike Farrell, who played Captain B.J. Honeycutt. Farrell, who recalled that he was similar to his character, Winchester, in that he loved classical music. He would often suggest musical pieces for Farrell to listen to in hopes of sharing his passion. One time, he had me listen to a piece and walked away, and when he came back, he saw there were tears in my eyes, and he said, "Aha, you're not so dead. You just have to be reawakened," Farrell said. He is sorely missed by everyone who knew him. Edward Winter, who played Colonel Flagg on MASH, died in 2001. Throughout his time on the air, MASH brought in a number of regular guest stars, and no one was as ridiculous and entertaining as Colonel Flagg. Brought to life by actor Edward Winter. Flagg's unorthodox means of getting information out of people almost always backfired. Just think of the time when he thought Hawkeye and Colonel Potter were in charge of a communist ring because they were playing cards with South Korean leaders. Sadly, he had Parkinson's disease and died at the age of 63. Before his time on MASH, he was a stage actor who worked primarily in San Francisco and New York. He starred in shows including Galileo and The Countrywide, and made his Broadway debut in a musical cabaret in 1966, a performance which earned him a Tony Award nomination. As Flagg, Winter brought a certain amount of hilarity and confidence and misplaced know-how, but every time he exited like the wind or showed up in a disguise, viewers knew they were in for a treat. Trapper John McIntyre, MASH actor Wayne Rogers, died in 2015. Trapper John McIntyre might have only starred on MASH for 3 seasons, but his impact on the show was enormous. So much so that he was mentioned by fellow characters seasons later. McIntyre was brought to the screen by actor Wayne Rogers, who embodied the silly surgeon with humor and grace. Sadly, he died in 2015 at the age of 82. He left MASH after his 3-year season run due to contract dispute, as noted by The Hollywood Reporter. He felt as though the writers of MASH were poorly developing his character, making him the straight man to Alan Alda's endearingly wry Hawkeye character. Despite his rocky exit from the show, he maintained a good relationship with his on-screen pal Alan Alda. At the time of Rogers' death, Alda took to Twitter to express his sadness. He was smart, funny, curious, and dedicated. "We made a pact to give MASH all we had, and it bonded us," Alda tweeted. "I loved Wayne. I'll miss him very much." Alan Arbus, the actor who played the wonderful Sidney Freeman, died in 2013. Think back to the episodes of MASH that include following Shout Air Raid, Burn the Camp to the Ground, Cockroach Races. All these had one thing in common: Major Sidney Freeman. An army psychiatrist who is a recurring guest character on MASH, who was an enormous impact. He was embodied by the lovely Alan Arbus, who sadly died at the age of 95. As noted by the New York Times in 2013, his death was confirmed by his daughter Amy, one of his 3 children spanning from 2 marriages. His impact on MASH was not just on screen. Alan Alda, who played Hawkeye Pierce, recalled that Arbus was so good at playing a psychiatrist that he would find himself going to Arbus for real-life advice between takes. "I was so convinced he was a psychiatrist, I used to sit and talk with him between scenes," he said. After a couple of months of that, I noticed he was giving me these strange looks like, how would I know the answer to that? Quite amusing, I have to say. The actor behind the beloved Colonel Sherman Potter, Harry Morgan, died in 2011. Corporal Radar O'Reilly was sunning himself with a shiny cardboard when Colonel Sherman Potter arrived on 407 7th, telling the company clerk that the sun would rip the hide right off him. And from that line on, Potter, portrayed by Harry Morgan, stole the hearts of MASH viewers. He sadly died in 2011 at the age of 96 at his home in Los Angeles, shortly after being diagnosed with pneumonia. His son Charles confirmed his death to the New York Times. He was known for his starring roles in Western films, but it was MASH where he really shined. As the series went on, his lovable persona and caring nature showed more than anything. Speaking of Potter, Morgan said, "I think it's the best part I ever had," and the actor even brought personal touches to the role. Potter's horse, Sophie, belonged to Morgan in real life. On the day of the final episode was shot, Morgan said that he was feeling sadness and an aching heart, both feelings that are quite apt regarding this loss. Kelly Nakahara, who played series regular Nurse Kelly Yamato on MASH, died in 2020. Whenever you turn on an episode of MASH, you're pretty much guaranteed to see Nurse Kelly Yamato. The lovable character was originally designed to be an extra, but the determination of actress Kelly Nakahara made the character one of the most beloved during the show's run. Sadly, she died from cancer at the age of 73. Nakahara appeared in 167 episodes of MASH, despite having been originally cast as background actress. "I think I was in every scene," she told NPR in 2016. "I put myself in every scene, and nobody told me to get out." As time went on, the show's main star and creative mind, Alan Alda, who wrote and directed episodes throughout the series, recognized her dedication, and by season 11, he wrote an episode solely for her character. She began as a background performer and worked her way up to playing the lead in an episode I wrote for her, Alan Alda said. "She was adorable and brilliant in part, but you couldn't beat what she was as a person, funnier and warmer and kinder than most people I know." McLean Stevenson, who played Henry Blake on MASH, died in 1996. Now, while many of us love Colonel Sherman Potter, the helm was originally occupied by Lieutenant Colonel Henry Blake, whose bumbling personality and lack of leadership capabilities made him hilarious to watch on screen. Actor McLean Stevenson played Blake, and for the first 3 seasons of MASH, Stevenson's Blake drank, fished, and cheated on his wife. Sadly, Stevenson died at 66 years old of a heart attack. Now, while Stevenson starred in other comedy series, it was MASH that he was known for. Sadly, after the show's first 3 seasons, he asked to be let go of his contract so he could pursue other work. As such, his character was killed, thus allowing Stevenson to return to the show. Not to return to the show. "I represent on MASH the authority figure who can't cope and who caves in under pressure," he once said about his character. Alan Alda's the hero, the guy people want to know, but want to be, but no, they aren't. I'm glad they really are. But everyone knows and loves their Henry Blake. There's no doubt about that. George Wood, who appeared as General Hammond on MASH, died in 2000. If you're a fan of the MASH television series, chances are you're a fan of MASH feature film. While hardly any actors overlap from both the movie and the show, George Wood is one who did. Professionally, Wood went by G. Wood and portrayed Brigadier General Charlie Hammond, the steely-eyed leader once romantically attached to Major Margaret Houlihan. Wood died in 2000 at the age of 80 after suffering a heart failure and is remembered for far more than just a portrayal of General on MASH. Colonel Penobscot actor Mike Henry died in 2011. When Major Margaret Houlihan announced on MASH that she was getting married to the dashing Colonel Donald Penobscot, played by the former NFL linebacker Mike Henry, most of them were thrilled for her, although Colonel Potter tried to warn her that perhaps she was rushing into this union. She didn't heed his words of wisdom, and the rest was divorce-ridden history. Henry, who was well known for playing Tarzan in 3 1960s adventure films, sadly died in 2021 at the age of 84. Larry Linville, the actor who played Frank Burns on MASH, died in 2000. While MASH didn't exactly have an antagonist, the closest thing was Major Frank Burns, or Old Ferret Face, played by Larry Linville, who who sadly died at the age of 60 after diagnosis of cancer and pneumonia. Burns was your classic jerk, complainer, a 6 million-mile-long ego without the skill set to match. His character was so believable that you wanted to reach into the screen and slap him, and this exceptional portrayal was thanks to Linville's talent. As noted by Playbill, Linville was also known for his wealth of stage acting, but it was as Burns where he really shined. Frank is the type of character I personally despise, Linville once said of a well-known character. It's a matter of ego, but I think I'm doing a service by delineating this type of person, so you'll be able to recognize him. Linville told the Philadelphia Inquirer that he pulled out every box in the head marked nerd, moron, and slime in order to bring Burns to life. While sharing the screen with the likes of Alan Alda's Hawkeye, Burns was infuriating, a true testament to Linville's phenomenal acting talent. Johnny Hamer, who played Staff Sergeant Zale on MASH, died in 1989. Perhaps one of Sergeant Zale's most iconic moments is when he tells Frank Burns on MASH that $200 of his stolen, when actually it was lost to radar while gambling, an exchange that serves as a perfect example of Zale's character. Funny, elusive, and comfortable lying to authority. Johnny Hamer, who was also known for his role as Pinkerton in Madam's Place, played Zale. He sadly died at the age of 69 at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in 1989, as noted by the LA Times. William Christopher, who portrayed the lovable Father Mulcahy on MASH, died in 2016. Perhaps one of the most loving, compassionate, enduring characters to ever grace the MASH screen was Father Francis Mulcahy, a character who did everything he could to make the world around him a better place. Think running a 12-mile race to raise money for a local orphanage. Mulcahy was played by the enduring William Christopher, who sadly died at the age of 84 from lung cancer in 2016. As noted by the Hollywood Reporter in a statement given by the reporter, it's noted that Christopher's condition had rapidly declined within a 2-week period. He peacefully died at home with his wife by his side. Loretta Swit, who played Major Margaret Houlihan, told a reporter after his death that everyone adored Christopher. Our dear Bill and his goodness are a great argument there being a heaven. Her statement read before asserting that Christopher's portrayal of the father most likely inspired viewers to go back to church themselves. He became TV's quintessential padre as Father Mulcahy on MASH. If God is nigh, then surely he or she will welcome Bill with open arms, she said. And that's all I got for you. I know it's a long one, but I believe it needed to be done. Somebody requested it, and I just agree. It needed to be done. Hope you enjoyed it. God rest their souls, and peace to their families. Have a great day. God bless. I'll be praying for you.